Well, thanks for having me today. My name is Mark Rosenberg, and I am chairman of Retrieve Medical. I am a physician, and my background is emergency medicine and palliative care before I switched gears and got into the software business with Retrieve Medical. Happy to be here.
Thanks a lot, Mark. And I'm always really impressed at how you're still able to be in like the clinical side of things, but also be inside of product. And I think it's a really unique experience to have a leader like you on the team that not only knows how to build these products, what's possible with the current state of art, but also what the market needs and what patients ultimately can like benefit from. Lots of people I know, myself included, kind of in my earlier, more formative years, are always building a hammer looking for a nail. As a software engineer myself, tends to kind of get sidetracked or really excited about some technology. But what I've really enjoyed working with you and also the rest of the team is that like the business model, in my opinion, is pretty solid, and that it is really looking on both the patient, how to benefit the patient, but also how to create a business around it. So I just wanted to say thanks for that. Enjoyed that. That's a good segue into just a brief description of the product and the company, if you could please provide.
Yeah, sure. Happy to. But let me feed off of where you started, and I want to say that as a physician, um, you really can't leave medicine. It's part of your DNA. And one of the nice things about Retrieve Medical is it's a software product that's designed by physicians for physicians to actually make their job easier. A lot of people don't know that about 75% of a physician's job is documenting, sitting at a computer and being able to document well. Many physicians don't care so much about the documentation. And instead, they care more about taking care of patients. Thank goodness for that. But the documentation is a critical part, not only to document quality care, but also to get reimbursed. You get reimbursed for what you document. If you do something and you don't document it, you leave money on the table, so to speak. So what Retrieve is, it falls into the category of computer-assisted physician documentation, and it is a tool to be used in hospitals or outpatient areas um, using its enhanced AI AI enhanced proprietary search engine and natural language processing so it can help the physicians identify what's important in the record and get that documented in the patient's chart. Um, Remember, if you don't document it, it's not there. Once it's documented in the patient's chart, it becomes part of the problem list or the diagnosis. So it has worked really well, less physician burnout. And we always want to make the product more seamless to utilize.
That makes sense. And certainly that is solving a huge need. Kind of from my personal experience, back when I was in med school, just the transition over to electronic workers was just kind of taken over. And
Yes.
a lot of my role felt kind of like a scribe, really. And also my other big role was to fax documents over from like a transfer patient. Like, yeah, there's definitely a lot of grunt work and a lot of uh, burnout, as you say. I mean, it's not specifically what physicians signed up for, nor what they're good at, nor what they want to be good at, right? Like, and nor should they be doing excessive documentation. I mean, the practice of medicine should be about being face to face with your patients, not necessarily about making sure that all of your billing codes and your charge codes are properly buttoned up. So I think yeah, I think it's a strong need for sure. Um, Let me ask you some more questions about the specific project that we helped you on. What problem did you have? That's the first question. The follow-up question is that is, how did analytics help solve that problem for you?
So remember, I already said that what you document is what you get paid for. Um, Documentation is also documenting the quality. So every year, it's important that patients, when they go to the doctor, they have Medicare says they have to have an annual wellness exam. And in that wellness exam, the primary care doctor has to document absolutely every problem the patient has in their lifetime that still exists. And the best software will be able to find that by going back into the electronic medical record. But there's always something missing. And one of the problems is many people, as they get older, see many different doctors, consultants, and the consultants don't all document in the same electronic medical record. So, how do I become the best tool to help physicians? What I needed to do is dig deeper and dig deeper into the patient's medication list. Because even if they see a specialist who doesn't document on the chart, they may leave a trail of what they are treating based on the medications. So there are thousands of medications in the United States, and there's also thousands of diagnoses. How do I find out if a patient's on a particular medication, what their likely diagnoses are, and do I already have that in their medical record? So, in talking with your team, you, John, we were able to come up with a model where we really reversed engineered using AI to be able to take a comprehensive list of every medication, comprehensive list of every diagnosis, and be able to cross reference so that we can find out more. So if a patient comes into their annual exam and they're taking a medication, let me give you a common example, like Lipitor, very likely that's for high lipids or high cholesterol. That's an easy one. There's other medications and cancer medications. And if you listen to the news, we're always advertising new medications, some you can't even pronounce. And how do I cross-reference those? So in working with your team, we were able to identify the problem. Your team was able to identify a potential solution. And that was groundbreaking right then and there. So in helping solve this problem, we're able to be the best tool that physicians can use to document the number of problems that a given patient can have. It works great.
Awesome. Yeah, definitely thanks a lot, Mark. And I think what you just said just hits so many check boxes on like the problems in the current healthcare system in the United States. And it reminds me of the story that just popped into my head. During my pulmonology rotation in med school, um, I remember my doctor of the service, like she was just onboarding a brand new resident, and the first thing that she told this resident was the golden rule of consult medicine, which is to stay in your lane.
Yeah.
That's kind of like the philosophy that was ingrained. Like if you're a specialist, what's your job? You stay in your lane. You don't look at anything else. You don't try to make suggestions about patient care or anything else. And I really think it's a smart to look at the patient's medication list because that's the objective snapshot of how the U.S. medical system, right, is treating that patient, and it's a snapshot of that underlying problem list that the patient has, regardless of what specialists are working on that patient. And the other benefit is it's portable, right? Like you can always look at the patient's medications. It's in their handbag.
Hmm.
Usually, people don't carry around soap notes in their handbag. So
It's
I
very
I think
true.
it's a really interesting and in a very smart way to deduce the patient's underlying medical conditions, for one of various problems. And I think billing is a very interesting problem set because large language models currently as used today do enable certain use cases that I think weren't possible before, but it's not quite at a level yet where we should be comfortable using them in like a clinical environment.
Right.
Like I wouldn't I wouldn't suggest using ChatGPT to try to diagnose patients, to try to come up with a treatment plan in like a clinical environment. I don't think it's ready for that yet.
Now,
But for billing, it's like the best use case, in my opinion, in that this transformative technology does allow use cases that weren't possible before, but also doing so in a safe and ethical setting, but also has a very high value to all your customers and also decreases burnout for physicians. I think it's just a brilliant idea, and just shows the both technical and ethical sense that you and the team have to deploy this technology in this way. Um, so let me move on to another question. What alternate solutions have you considered before working with Innolitics? And why did you pick Innolitics for this particular project?
we met with our IT staff and our medical advisors, and we talked about how we can do a better job collecting all the patient's problems. And um, there was a patient who went to a primary care physician, and um, patient, actually a family member, the family doctor never knew that the patient had lymphoma. It wasn't in their problem list. And it wasn't in the problem list because this cancer was being treated by the oncologist. And in talking to my friend and colleague, um, she never knew until the patient said to her, "Did I tell you I have cancer?" But
Mm.
here's what was important is that in the list of medications, there was a drug called Calquence, Alcabruvica. And that is a drug that's only used for lymphoma. And if the primary doctor asked about that drug, uh, why are you taking it? Or even knew that it was for lymphoma, the the problem would have been solved. In other words, it would have been listed on our problem list. So how do I now bring that into every physician in the country? How do I take that story and make that real? And we couldn't come up with a solution, honestly, you, John, until I met with the analytics team. And when we talked about it, it became very clear that there was a very simple pathway. How you program that, how you get it usable to somebody like myself who can't code, and how do I make it work for the end user? And that's what your team did. The analytics team was able to translate what I envisioned we could do into a computer algorithm program using AI so that we were able to get accurate results and continue to get more accurate results as we continue to utilize the program. And so the other part that was so unique here, and I'm really just talking, is that as we met every week to look at this problem and to see the progress we made, your team listened to all the feedback of how we can make it better. And we continued each week to have more improvements, making it better. Comments would come in. Your team would take it and implement changes that were addressed by the comments. At the end of the day, we finished early on the project timeline, and that's all good for everybody. The program now is ready to put into our clients. We tested it, and it does everything that we thought it could do. And It is so easy to use. It's just perfect. So you kept the end user in mind. They asked me, why did we choose analytics? Well, there's been two other projects that I have brought to analytics before with tremendous success, and products were exactly as we needed them to be. And you guys were always easy to reach, and you welcome comments, and just a pleasure to work with you. I really just can't wait till we have another project together.
Yeah, same here. Same here. Um, yeah, I very much enjoyed working with you and the team for all the reasons that I mentioned earlier. Um, but also I'll like throw in there in when the scope had to change, which is common for
Mhm.
software projects. It's one of those things where you can't really define the problem until you've actually solved it, or you've actually solved maybe 50% of it. So while you go through that journey, and especially for something using a relatively new technology, like the large language models, I really appreciated the additional flexibility that we had. I think what we ended up building did fairly well match what we said we would do, but there were kind of some detours along the way. I certainly can't take credit for being under budget and also early as well, and that's the team's work there. Um, but yeah, thanks for all the kind words are said there.
Well, I do have one lesson learned by myself is that I have asked for computer help from many other people, not projects so much. But what I learned is if I have a computer problem or I have a problem that requires a computer uh, interface or a computer solution, if I call analytics first, I get what I need. It's on time, it's on budget, and it's a great team to work with. So my recommendation to anybody who may see this video, call analytics first.
Definitely, thanks a lot, Mark. Um, I think that probably segues into the next question. Just for anyone in your shoes, making a decision between analytics and potentially a vendor, what do you ask them to consider in making that decision?
I think my recommendation I just said, but what do they need to consider? I think what always surprised me about your team is the fact that I don't speak in computer speak. I speak in hypotheticals and what I'd like to see. And to have a computer team, programmers be able to listen to that and translate it into computer language and make it work, to me is just amazing. So that's the first step. The next step is it has to be a team that you can talk to, that is available, that is communicating with you. And the last step is, will the team listen to your feedback and make the changes that are necessary to make the project end user friendly? So those are the three areas that I would really recommend looking at first. Um, and if you can get all three with analytics, then your search is over. And I think you can.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks a lot, Mark. Um, yeah, I would say that those three things that you mentioned, I've learned through the years that those are very important to make any software project happen. Like it's a process to try to educate both sides. We're coming in, we don't quite understand like the clinical context or the subject matter. However, what I really enjoy about working with your team um, is that is you guys spend the time to really guide us through that subject matter and give us the business context for what it is that we're actually building. Not only is that a boost to the team's morale and that they know that their code is what exactly is it going to be used for, but it allows them to make micro decisions day to day that is more likely to give you the product that you originally intended, the product that's originally intended to solve that business problem.
Right.
And that's what uh, I strive to do internally, and also I think that the team also tries to do. But that's only possible both sides but both sides need to come to that same goal to try to educate each other of their knowledge gaps to start. Whereas we come in with subject matter expertise knowledge gaps, you guys are asking us for software development expertise. And when both sides educate each other, I think that's when the correct product is built. Um, so great. Well, thanks a lot for all your comments, Mark. Is there anything that we could have done to improve on this project?
Um, I wouldn't, I don't think there's any. It started perfectly. Um, as we met weekly, the comments were taken into consideration. You guys were great at communicating. I give you an A plus, 100%. It's perfect. Looking forward to the next project.
Thanks a lot, Mark. Yeah, any other thoughts?
No other thoughts.
All right. Well, definitely thanks a lot. Have a great day. Uh,
Thanks.
yep.
You too.